Welcome back to another episode of the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast with yours truly, Crystal Day. And I want to say Happy New Year. Okay, all right. Is it too late? Is it too late for me to be saying Happy New Year? Listen, I want to first apologize to all our listeners. You have not heard from me actually, in a month, like one whole month. You have not heard from me. And since I've been doing the podcast in the last 3 years, this is the longest break I've taken. And I did kind of indicate in December that I would take a few weeks break, but I didn't expect it would have been so long. So I want to apologize for to my listeners. I know that you miss me because I've been getting the emails, I've been getting the messages like, hey, it's Thursday, what's happening, where's the podcast? But I'm expecting that 2023 will be bigger and better, and I'm expecting 2023 to just be a year that we continue to just have real life conversations for the committed Christian woman. So I want to say welcome again to the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast. I truly miss you guys. I miss you guys. I miss you guys. And it says February, so one whole month in 2023 has just like poof. And you guys know every time I come on, every month I'm like, oh my God, the months are flying fast. And it just feels like, woof, like the month has ended. But I am so grateful. I'm so grateful to be alive. I'm so grateful to be my sound mind. I'm so grateful for all of you, my listeners who have reached out and say, hey, what's going on? I miss you. We miss you. And I have some incredible guests lined up for you this year. So I'm looking forward to those conversations. But this week, I'm doing a solo episode. So I wanted to start back with a solo episode. Now, as I prayed about it, thought about it, I wanted, I thought about the theme for this week's episode, permission to be vulnerable. Now, I say permission to be vulnerable because sometimes vulnerability can seem like a weakness, especially on with the social media. Sometimes people share things and it feels like, oh, if they cry online or they share that they're disappointed about things or they fail at things, sometimes it feels like, hey, you should keep that side of you together. But last year, if you remember, I also did an episode called Managing the Superwoman Syndrome. And that's kind of part of the vulnerability to realize that because we are human, not because you are a Christian, not because you love God, it doesn't mean that you are like you always have things together. And that's a part of me sharing the diary. And I've come on the podcast on many, many occasions, just being honest about my wins, being honest about, you know, uh, things that may not have gone how I wanted to. But this is a safe space. I hope and I pray it is, and it's okay to be vulnerable. So I just wanted to just kind of check in with you, just kind of share what's happening with me for 2023. What am I working on? What has been happening, and just kind of give you an idea of what is to come for 2023. So I've been praying about the podcast because I don't necessarily like to seem like it's we're doing the same thing. And to be honest, last year, especially end of last year, the last quarter of the year, the podcast listenership was down. It went down, and it went down, yeah, like drastically comparing to the last few years. So for me, I'm like, okay, what is it that I need to be doing differently? Because I don't just want to come and record podcasts or interview people and nobody's listening. Mind you, it's not so much about the numbers, but it's about the impact. And honestly, I want to impact more people for God's glory. I want this podcast to go out and continue to strengthen and to help women to build their faith and to just help persons to activate their purpose and to walk into their calling boldly. And that is the purpose of this podcast. So I had to kind of pause and say, okay, I, how can I re-engage my listeners? How can I get you excited again to listen to the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast? I also thought about, should I change the name? Is God leading me into another direction? Like I think it was Moses, yeah, Moses that said that, Lord, don't send me if you're not going. Like, I'm not gonna go if you're not there. And that's how I feel about the podcast. Like, I don't want to just come on and talk or interview people and God is not in it. So I just needed to, like, hey, pause, like, hey, just wanted to ensure that I'm on the path that God desired me to be on regarding the podcast. That's one. Secondly, life has been lifing. Yes. I'm being honest with you, life has been lifing. So many things have been happening from the year start, and starting with actually last year. And this is, I kind of mentioned it a little bit on my WhatsApp, but I didn't get into details. But both of my brothers were in an accident just before Christmas, a few days before Christmas. And, when I saw especially the older one on a stretcher, like, your girl, as tough as I am, like, I was just a mess, because I love my family, I love my siblings. So, just that leading into the Christmas. And then also I decided that I wasn't going to travel this Christmas. Normally I would have gone to spend time with my family, but I decided I wasn't, mainly because, again, my daughter is preparing for exams, and she would have had extra classes up until a few days before Christmas. So, like, okay, I'll be here in Jamaica. So that kind of made me feel a little way, because I wasn't going to be able to see them. Then with that, the year kind of just started, like, you just run out the blocks. There's so many things are happening. um my little sister, she ended up in the hospital. My stepdad was in the hospital. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what is happening? I had some speaking engagement earlier in the year, so just kind of trying to pray and seek the Lord on those speaking engagement. Mind you, I intercede. I'll interject right here to say, go and check out Berean Church of God Kenkot on YouTube. I did a message called if God can't, then who can? Really, really a blessing. So definitely go and check out that episode on the YouTube chat on YouTube, right? So preparing for that again, still preparing for PEP. And then, can I confess? And this is me being vulnerable. I was just not motivated to do anything. I just came into the year. It just felt like, okay, I have these goals for this year, and it felt like I have so much things to do, and I just don't know where to start. And then I had to pause, like, okay, are the goals that I am setting, are they really my goals? Are they goals that God wants me to pursue? Um, and it took a few weeks for me to kind of know, to be honest. So I did complete my purpose planner in December, and I did an amazing session with the Lord for 2 days, and and just kind of started to plan and for the 2023. And then when 2023 came, I felt like I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed, and I just could not do any podcasts. I just could not do any YouTube channel. Now, mind you, for the clients that I had, I've been serving them, but I have not been like promoting much. I've just been serving the current clients that I have. No, of course, as a entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, and you're not promoting your services, and you're not selling, and you're not launching, it meant that also my income for the month was like behind, because you're not doing the business things. And I'm not at a place in my business where, okay, I'm just bringing in a lot of money while I'm not launching. No. So I I just needed to just chill. Also, on January the 17th, one of the young ladies, one of my mentees, she wrote the book Sanjay Spence. She's one of the authors for the Living a Royal Reality Teen Edition, and she died on January the 17th. And I saw her in Christmas, I think it was Christmas Eve. I brought her a little gift because, I heard she was sick. I knew she was sick. She was sick, and I put a good little gift together, and I took it to her on Christmas Eve, and we were there talking, and I gave her a copy of the planner also, and she was just excited and looking forward to the new year. And on the 17th of January, she died. And I've just been processing because, of course, you guys would also know that my little sister, 21 years old, she died in December 5th, 2018. But January 5th is our birthday. So normally, January the 5th, my father and I will visit the graveside, clean up the graveside, just kind of, there. So, yeah. And then one of my very good friends, one of my best friends, she lost her grandfather on Christmas Day, and she's preparing for the funeral, and you're just trying to be there for her as a friend also. So with the deaths and with the illness and the hospitalization, and it just felt a lot. I'm being honest, and this is me being honest and vulnerable to you guys, because it just felt a lot. I started, doing my morning routines and reading the scriptures and trying to walk. And there are some weeks that, I walk all week and I was able to hit my goal. And then there are other times I just wanted to stay in bed. And I remember when I got the news about Sanjay dying, and it was one of those days that I finally decided I was going to do some work. And then hearing the news, I just sat there, just kind of just looking in space. I don't know. And I've just been processing and giving myself permission to feel. And I mean, I'm not the most emotional person. Like, I cry. I tell people I cry. I just like not that easily cry. And if I say I'm okay, I tend to be the strong friend. So, I'm always saying I'm okay. But I just needed to give myself time to process. And also, I was traveling for my mom's birthday, January the 21st. Yeah, it's my mom's birthday, so I went up January the 20th, and it was a blessing. I did not get to stay long. I just traveled for a few days, but it was great to see my brothers, and my stepdad came out of the hospital, my sister came out of the hospital, my mom had this nice big bashment party. Do people still say bashment? But yeah, she had this really nice party, and it was nice to just be there and celebrate with her. And but then, because Krista was in Jamaica, I kind of, you know there is some mom guilt kicking in, so you're trying to manage your mom guilt while trying to enjoy the time, because I really do love being overseas. I love being overseas. I only got to go to Barnes and Nobles like once, which is not nice, because you all know that I love to just chill at Barnes and Nobles, but I only got like a few hours in. But that trip, that trip was what kind of helped me to center back to, okay, you have to just do what you have to do. Now, many of you would always hear I talk about, I don't need to be motivated to work. I I try to be as disciplined as possible. So you would find that I can do work without necessarily feeling motivated. Even if I feel down, I can do some work. But I didn't push myself as hard as I know I could. I didn't try to push myself out of my comfort zone. I didn't try to be super motivated. I just allowed myself to feel over in January, process all that was going on, gave myself permission to be vulnerable, gave myself permission to chill, and then deciding that on February the 1st, it is going to be the beginning of my new year. So that's where I am. That's where I have been. And I just hit record on this podcast because I wanted to kind of update you guys on what's going on. I did share briefly on my Facebook, I believe, or Instagram, I don't remember, just to kind of say, hey, this is what's been happening. And, persons reach out and say they're praying for me, and I'm super, super, super grateful. I'm super grateful for the community that I've created through the Diary for Jesus Girl podcast, where, persons are just blessed, and can reach out to me and say, hey, we miss you on the podcast, can't wait to hear what's up for this year. So I'm super, super, super grateful for that. So with that, I just wanted to start this year podcast because this is the first podcast for 2023 to just give you the permission to be vulnerable. Now, stepping back and allowing myself to be vulnerable, allowing myself to feed, it also, I believe, allowed me to spend time with the Lord to, okay, what is it I want to focus on this year? I am not so focused on all the fanfare. I kind of feel like this is a pretty, I don't want to say low key, but it's gonna be a year of depth for me. So like in my business, I'm trying to put in proper system in my business. That's been like 2 years. I've been trying to do this, like hire a good admin person, try to set up my banking accounts properly and set up my taxation properly. And it has felt super overwhelming as a business owner to try to do that while trying to market, while trying to coach people, while just being a mother, while trying to be a good sister, daughter, friend. And it has felt sometimes overwhelming. But because of my personality, I can go, 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 and I can just do what I need to do. But I decided that this year it's not so much about like the fast paced things for me because I spent 2020. I mean, even in the pandemic, yeah, while I was online, I was putting out programs, I was doing a lot of things, I was doing this, I was doing that. And last year I did, quite a few speaking engagements, etc. But this year, not that I won't do all of these things, but this year I'm trying to like really understand and be more, yeah, build depth. That's the best way to put it. So again, creating the right systems in my business. I know that I'm in my business specifically, like this year I want to focus a lot on my business. So I'm not really doing a lot of like mentorship, like what mentorship program with teens or etc. because I desire to build a $1 million business. Because one, I know that there are the things that I want to do, especially with young people and with other persons. Like I need money, and I want to pay off my debts. I want to be in a better financial position to, even as one day I will eventually get into marriage. I don't want to like bring over those liabilities of debts and stuff into marriage. So for me, God has called me to serve in business. Many times I thought about going back to a 9 to 5 job, but that's not what I believe the Lord is calling me to do. I believe that He has called me to build a business. And as a result, I have to get focused. I have to get focused and I have to just do what I need to do in my business. So I'll be focusing a lot on business this year. Also, I want to focus a lot on building my brand in terms of being known in the space as the global book coach, the book marketing maven, and publishing extraordinaire. So that means, I'm still hosting the Reach Millions Author Conference this year. I'm still praying about, the book fair, etc. But oh, just like I think that's for me this year, like really building a sustainable business. And that means I want to help more people to write books. I want to help more authors to monetize their books. I want to help more persons to publish their books professionally and create a real business from that. So that means hiring more people. That means, having proper systems in place. So that's my goal for 2020 2023. And yeah, that's my goal for 2023, and not doing a lot of things than focusing on the depth of that. Now, regarding the podcast, etc., of course, you guys know that I'm always just interviewing persons to have discussions around, topics that I believe that are relevant, real life conversations for real women, for committed Christian women. So I'll continue to do that. Like, I'm not coming on the podcast to talk about business all the time. No, or most of the time. This podcast is still dedicated to helping women of faith to build their faith and to walk out their calling and to enjoy real conversations. And that's what the Diary of a Jesus Girl is about, and with that being said, I wanted to share with you, 3 reasons why you should give yourself permission to be vulnerable, right? And also, I want to share with you 3 reasons how to use your vulnerability as strength. So I'm going to give you both because those are some of the things that I've learned over the last few weeks. So, one, um, how to give your 3 reasons why you should give yourself permission to be vulnerable. One, because you're not a robot, right? You are not a robot that is just going and going and going and going and not getting rest, not getting allowing yourself to process things. So because you are not a robot, it means that you are a living being that feels, that hurts, that laughs, that, all of these things. And if you don't process those emotions and allow yourself to properly manage your emotionals, and they would call, they have the call in emotional intelligence, you'll find yourself eventually just emotionally burnt out, but not just emotionally burnt out, but spiritually and even physically burnt out, because all of it comes in, like all of it ties together. So you have to give yourself permission to be vulnerable because you're not a robot. The second reason why you want to give yourself permission to be vulnerable is that your feelings are valid. Your feelings are valid, right? Your feelings are valid in terms of you can feel a way about something, and that is okay. But the additional part about your feelings are valid is that your feelings are not truth. So not because you feel a certain way, you feel like somebody offended you, it meant that they meant to offend you. Or sometimes we read into things that is not necessarily the truth either. So while your feelings are valid, I want you to also remember that they're not truth, and you have to go back to God's word. Um how are you really reflecting on God's word and his promises, and ensuring that you're applying that to your true feelings, So when I talk about your feelings are valid, again, it's okay to be angry about something, but the Bible tells you that ensure that when you're angry, it doesn't lead you to sin, So that's kind of what I mean by that, in terms of, know that your feelings are valid, but they are not truth. Number 3, and I did talk a little bit about that when I preached earlier in January. I did extend and talk more about that, so you can go and check out the video, right? The next reason why you want to give yourself permission to be vulnerable, permission to be vulnerable, is that it allows you to grow. It allows you to grow because you are able to now see where you're falling short. You are able to identify those weaknesses, and then from there you're able to say, this is where I need help. So for example, if somebody just died and you allow yourself to feel, if you allow yourself to be vulnerable and deal with those emotions, then it might say that, hey, I need to go and talk to a therapist. You understand? And I want you to give yourself that permission to to allow, like, face those weaknesses so that you can get help, so that you can properly grow. And this is also spiritually, because sometimes I mean, even in our spiritual walk, sometimes we feel we can reach a place of stuck in our Christian walk, and we're like, what's next? And it could be, hey, I need to go and enroll in a Bible school. And Bible school is not just, oh, I want to preach. Sometimes you going to church every Sunday is just not enough. You trying to read you version devotions, or you just trying to study the Bible by yourself might not be enough. So you might need to enroll in a Bible studies or Bible course, or you might need to join some kind of discipleship program, right, where you are now challenged by a coach or challenged by a discipler or a mentor to uncover some of the reasons why you're stuck. So this is why I said you want to give yourself permission to be vulnerable, permission to be honest with how you're feeling, and explore those feelings, right? So, um, yeah. So I also said that I wanted to just give you three reasons, um, with three ways that you can be vulnerable. And one, it's journaling. Journaling is a great way for you to just explore your vulnerability. So just being honest, and or we can write in our diary, So get your diary for Jesus Girl journal. Go and get order your diary for Jesus Girl journal on Amazon, and you have a hardback or you have a paperback copy, and I want you to journal those feelings, and sometimes, and this is why I also created the personal empowerment journal, because there are some prompts every week. There's a prompt from the journal that will help you to explore some of your feelings, explore some of your dreams, explore some of your goals, explore some of the feelings that you're having. So journaling is one way. The second way, right, is to talk to somebody that is, I would say, trained. So if your pastor is trained in counseling, or you are able to hire a therapist, or you are able to hire a coach, that would be very helpful. So that's one of the ways that you are able to tap into your vulnerability and share how you're feeling, right? So journaling, also talking to somebody that is a qualified counselor or therapist. And then the final way I would say to tap into your vulnerability, right, is for you to find an outlet that you are able to share some of those lessons. So it could be, being a guest on somebody's podcast, starting your own podcast, writing a book. Right now, the difference with writing a book when it comes down to your vulnerability is that you are not going to take that, you're not going to write a book from a place of hurt, right? You have to write from a place of feeling, which means that you would have to do the work to be healed. But once you get over that, you are able to share some of the lessons in our book, right? Other ways that you can do this is just sometimes just record devotionals. That's one of the ways. Record a devotional, or write devotionals, right? So these are some of the ways that you can tap into your vulnerability, but use your vulnerability to be a blessing to others, right? So I hope those, three reasons why you should be vulnerable, and then three reasons why, um, yeah, three reasons how to be vulnerable. I hope those help. No, let me be honest. While I did not like do a lot and push myself too much in January, I believe I sat down and I was like thinking, okay, what would I say are my top 5 wins for January, right? Because I did not, it wasn't just a doom and gloom. Yes, I didn't work every single day, but I'm grateful. I'm super grateful that even though I was operating on bare minimum for the most part, there were some good wins. So one, I had 3 paid speaking engagements in January, and those went very well. Especially I did one with the insurance professionals, where I gave a talk to over 300 insurance professionals in Jamaica at their blast off, and I believe that went really, really well. So I'm so grateful for my 3 speaking engagement. Secondly, um, secondly, I signed 2 new clients. So woo, woo, 2 new clients have said yes to write to publishing their books with Daylight. So I'm looking forward and excited about that. Three, I got one of my clients' books devotional into uh, a bookstore in Florida. So one of my clients, Wendy Ann Hunt, she has a devotional called Whispers of Grace. If you want a 1 year devotional, just to help you to kind of, fall in love with God again, you should definitely go and check out Whispers of Grace on Amazon. So I was able to get her devotional into an international bookstore. So that's a big deal, and I'm excited about that. Number four, number four, is that Crystal and I went on a date night, right? So every month we go on a date night at least once per month. Sometimes it's two time depending, but at least once per month. So I'm so glad that in January we're able to do our date night together. So we did dinner at a Chinese restaurant. So we actually love going to Chinese restaurant. So that was nice. It happened. I did it the day when I came back. So I was able to talk about my trip, and she was able to fill me in on all the things that were happening in school over the 5 days that I wasn't here. So I'm super, super, super grateful for that. And number five, of course, is that I am happy that I was able to see my sister Kimon and my brothers, that's Davion, and spend time with my stepdad and spend time with my mom, and go to the party and have so much fun. And I'm super excited about that. And then the bonus is that I booked my ticket to go to Impact Weekend in March. So, for like 3 years, I've been wanting to go to Impact Weekend, and every year I find a reason why I shouldn't go. Like, oh, maybe next year. But I made up my mind that I was gonna go to Impact Weekend this year, and I got my Impact Weekend ticket as a gift. Yes. So my little sister bought me the Impact Weekend ticket for Christmas. Shout out to nice little sisters. Go Kimon. You did well, my boo. Yes. So she bought me the ticket to Impact Weekend for Christmas, and I bought my plane ticket. So I am looking forward to going to Impact Weekend in March. So those are my January celebrations. And so with that, I I'm reading two books. I've not finished reading my books, but I'm gonna finish read my January books like by tomorrow. By tomorrow, I'll finish reading my January books. Right, my two January books. I'm reading Prior Power Entrepreneur. I have just a few pages left, and I'm finished reading The Most Powerful Woman Is You. Those two books. So I'm finishing my January books along with my this two February books. So I'm excited about that. So that is it. That's my update. That's my update of what's been going on with me. And again, welcome back to the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast. I'm looking forward. Next week we will have an amazing interview lineup, and we have some more amazing interviews lined up. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me. And I just know that I'm praying for you. I love you. And again, just like how I'm giving myself permission to be vulnerable, I pray that you will give yourself permission to be vulnerable also, and to feel the feeling, and to deal with all life is happening, but understand, like, remember that no matter what's happening, that God is still good, God is still faithful, and in the good times and bad times He's still God. So I'm out for this week. Oh, yes, I am actually hosting a from book idea to bestseller 3-day challenge. So that will be start February 14th. So please go and check out my social media platforms so you can join the challenge, because I'm passionate about helping authors in 2023 to write, publish, market, and monetize their books. So, you know that this episode is brought to you by Daylight Publishers, and Daylight Publishers is a faith-based publishing and marketing consultancy company that helps new and aspiring authors to bring their book to life and to monetize their books and to help authors to reach millions. So I'm excited if you are an author or aspiring author, that you should reach out to us, and I'm looking forward and excited to help you to bring your dream to life. So that's it for this week, and I will see you next week for another amazing episode of the podcast. God bless you.